3, 2, 1, speak!
There's a place where life and death sit to share a meal. But this is not an ordeal where both argue to prove which of the two is more real. This is not a bittersweet feast where cries of defeat compete with a breathing heartbeat. A cold encounter between one finished counting and the other the counter. This is not a gathering where tense questions are presented with senseless sentiments of resentment. A somber affair where cries of regret wander through the air. This is not a place where hate waits to dislocate every trace of grace from fate. No, this is no such space. When life and death breathe, they sit to eat, but no one grits their teeth. Instead, they lift their speech with gifts that seek melodies rich and deep. For life and death would rather sing than speak, at least. This is how I see it from my seat at the hospice down the street. When I sit with my guitar to play lunchtime serenades for a gathering of volunteers and cancer patients there for the day. Some of these patients have already accepted death. With a quiet confidence we generally reserve for stoic superheroes facing an inevitable end in big-budget films, but this is no such production. Just a lunchtime table occupied by a group of men and women embraced by illness like a lost love, and a group of dedicated volunteers serving a hot lunch, adjusting pillows and oxygen tanks to the tune of soft smiles and whispered thanks while I sit in the background and stare at the floor, my guitar in my hands performing the score. After nearly 6 years here as a volunteer, I've wanted to capture this experience in word or song, and so far I've done an awful job. Everything I've described is accurate, at least on the surface, but there's a beauty breathing beneath which renders words worthless. Beyond oxygen tanks and wheelchairs, swollen ankles and heads where once had been hair, there's an acceptance of death's presence that completely defies the way we address this we consider life's most feared prospect. Whereas we treat death as nothing but a creeping menace, in this place life embraces this deepest of friendships. Thus, space is provided where these two seeming opposites are no longer divided. United in harmony, death becomes a guest at life's table and the other way around, as smiles and laughter dominate the sounds of stories shared with notes in the air, plucked from my instrument, instantly aware. It is in these moments I realize we've got it all wrong. For life and death have forever sung the same song, and for every melody death is brought to a close, life has embraced this space and conducted new notes. Inside of the silence which lives within hope, is places where life's solemn surrender calls home, I know. I've seen it with my own eyes. A nostalgic chorus where the reaper kept slow time, with life singing solo, though roles weren't so defined. The choir smiled and cried, yet were never surprised when the line between singer and spectator died, and so the piece flew. And as the peak grew, a deep mood soared beyond the summit, then returned into view. With trembling fingers, I played my part, until the soft silent ending mirrored the start. At that moment, the plates were cleared, and the crowded room became vacant. Life and death parted ways, so it was unclear the placement, but it didn't matter. The feeling of hope remained real in this place where life and death sing and share a meal.